Explain the following. The importance of Thomas Paine's Common Sense, 1776, on the calls for independence in North America, 8 marks. The importance of the Battle of Saratoga in 1777 for American victory in the War of Independence, 8 marks. This is the mark scheme for this question, which you can find out about in more detail in the overview video. 8 marks here are awarded for AO2, which is your analysis of consequence and significance. So that requires you to take the first element of the question and think about what is important about it in relation to the second element of the question. Making those links between the two different elements of the question is how you are analytical and how you score highly for AO2. 8 marks are also awarded for AO1, which is your knowledge and understanding of the topic. So you need to be bringing in evidence from your own knowledge to support your argument for this question. These are the bands for this question. Again, you can find out about these in more detail in the overview video. But generally, to do well in this question, you need to be analytical. And that really comes down to making clear links between the importance of the first event on the second event, so the two different elements of the question. You should also have a clear line of argument so the examiner can see really clearly what you're trying to get across. Your structure should also be quite easy to follow, so try not to go off on too many tangents. Keep it as relevant and focused as you can. Also on AO1, you should be bringing in relevant details from your own knowledge to support what you're trying to say, so using that evidence from your existing understanding, really just to demonstrate to the examiner that you know what you're talking about. There are lots of different points you can make for both of these questions, so as long as what you say is relevant and correct, the examiner will give you the marks. But let's take a look at some examples of points that you could have made. Now for the first question, you could make a point about how large the scale of publication was and therefore how many people read Common Sense. And then to explain why that had an impact on independence in North America, you can say that his ideas united people with a common aim. They all wanted to be independent, and that was really important for the success of the revolution. So there you can see that I've given some evidence from my own knowledge. I knew that it was published widely, I knew lots of people read it, and I used that evidence to link the two elements of the question together and explain why the first bit was important for the second bit. Now let's take a look at the second question. So the same all applies here really. You could say, for example, that Saratoga was a turning point in the American Revolution. That's a really good statement to make because it shows that you've analysed the question quite carefully, you've got an interesting opinion there, but you do need to explain it in more detail to kind of justify what you've said. So you can then draw on evidence from your own knowledge. You can say that it boosted morale, and more importantly, that it made the Continental's army support available in the final Battle of Yorktown, and that ended the revolution with American victory. So you can see there that we've thought really carefully about the importance of that point. We've used evidence from our own knowledge, we've linked it back to the question and explained why it was so important, and it's that kind of developed thinking which can push you into the top bands. Take a look at the rest of the points here to see if there's anything you could have added to your answer.